Hey everyone, Ishmael Kolia is your Realtor Associate Broker with eXp Realty and the team leader for the team of experts. Today's topic is appraisals. You're the seller, your house is in the market, you've signed the contract with the buyer already, and now it's time for an appraisal. What exactly is an appraisal and what are the outcomes after the appraisal? Let's talk about it. So an appraisal is an official process by which a bank wants to determine the value of your house. The buyer is buying your house for, let's say, $600,000. The buyer is putting $50,000 of their own money and they're borrowing $550,000 from the bank. This bank wants to make sure that your house is worth at least $550,000 because that house is going to be collateral against their money. So in case that buyer stops paying a mortgage down the road in the future, the bank wants to be able to take that house, foreclose that house, sell the house, and get their $550 back. But what happens if your house is not even worth $550, or maybe it is? How do we know that? That's why a bank would hire an appraiser to come to your house and determine the valuation of your house. An appraiser is a licensed professional who is trained to figure out what the value of your house is. And the way they do that is based on two components. Number one is they do market research online. They look at other sales in the area. Typically in the last 6 months, what are other houses in your area with similar size, similar condition, selling for in the last 6 months? The reason for the last 6 months is because we don't want to look at a market a year ago, 2 years ago. It was a different market. There were a different set of circumstances happening in the world and in the market and the real estate and in business a year ago, 2 years ago. So we want to look at current data as close to today's market as possible. Call it an apple-to-apple comparison. And then the appraiser is also looking at area sales in your area, not across town, not in a different zip code, not in a different town or county, in your immediate neighborhood. Because again, houses across the track, as they say, may be worth more or less than the houses in your area. They may be more in demand or less in demand. They may be more what buyers are looking for, or they may be less what buyers are looking for. The school district may be different and so forth. So again, an appraiser is really concerned with an apple-to-apple comparison, your immediate area, your type of house, your size house, your similar condition to your house, and so forth. What are those houses selling for? Are they all selling for around 600, 610, 620, 630, 590, 595, or are they wildly different than what you are asking for your house? Are they all selling for, let's say, 540, 550, and here you are selling your house for 600? And so, or perhaps the other way around, you are selling your house for 600 and the area houses are selling for, say, 650, 660, 670, and so forth. So an appraiser, again, is focused on two components. One is doing online research to see what other houses are selling for with similar size, similar conditions, similar neighborhood, and similar time frame in the last 6 months. And the second component is a visit to your house, because every house is different. We can't just do online research. We also have to look at each house in person. Why? Because the cabinets in your kitchen are different perhaps than the ones in your neighbor's kitchen. The tiles that you have on your floor, the lighting that you have, the fans, the appliances that you have, the look and feel of your house perhaps is different than all of the houses in your area. So that's why it's really important to visit your house for the appraiser and determine whether your house should be a little bit more than what those houses are selling for, or your house should be equal to what those houses are selling for, or perhaps your house should be a little bit less than what those houses are selling for. So an appraiser will visit your property, take a look at the condition of your house, and then make that determination as to the value of the house. Once they go back to their desk, they're going to put all of that together, the visit to your house as well as the online research, and then they'll determine the value of your house. So what are the outcomes of an appraisal? There are about three appraisal outcomes that are possible. Number one is, if we're selling our house for $600,000, for example, an appraiser might determine that the value of your house is $600,000. Wow, no issues. You're selling your house for $600,000, the buyer's buying the house for $600,000, and the appraiser believes that yes, the house is worth $600,000. Nothing to worry, nothing to do, continue with the sale. Another outcome might be that the appraiser might think that your house is worth actually $620,000. In that case, nothing for us to do at this point. We've already signed a contract to sell the house for $600,000. We cannot change the contract. We cannot ask for more money, and we will continue with the sale of the house. You cannot change your mind to say, well, my house appraised for more, I want to cancel the contract. Most likely, we won't even be told if the house appraised for more money. The only time we would hear about a problem with an appraisal is if the house appraises for less than the contract price. But if the house appraises for more than the contract price, we will not be told that, because again, they don't want to give the sellers a regret, so to speak. But we also, you and I, you the seller, I as the seller's agent, we of course certainly want to avoid giving away your money for free. And the way we would do that is, before we put the house in the market, we would come to an agreement on the price. And the way we come to an agreement on the price is, I would also do a comparative market analysis online to see what houses in your area are going for. And I would also certainly visit your house as well to take a look at the condition of your house and the finishes and the appliances and so forth. So I would give you my professional estimation of what I think that your house is worth. And if you follow that recommendation, we are more likely to not leave money on the table and sell your house for less than what it is worth. All right, so there again, we've covered two possible outcomes. One is we're selling the house for $600,000, and the appraiser has also determined that the house is worth $600,000. The other outcome that we discussed is that your house was determined by the appraiser to be worth $620,000. The buyer got $20,000 head start on the equity that they're getting on the house as compared to what they're paying for the house. The third outcome is what we really want to talk about today, which is what happens if the appraiser determines that your house is really worth $580,000. You're selling the house for $600,000. But the house is determined to be $580,000. What can happen with this situation? So about 4 or 5 possible solutions are there for us. It's not the end of the world if the house appraises for less than what we are selling it for. What is the first option? The first option is the buyer is most likely going to look towards you, the seller, and say, hey seller, look, your house appraised for less than what we agreed to buy it for, so we kindly ask you to lower the price to $580,000. Now, you're not under any obligation to do so, but they are certainly free to ask, and you are free to say no, or you are free to say yes. So number one outcome is they will ask the seller to lower the price. They will say, look, it's fair for you to lower the price because the appraiser says your house is worth $580,000. So I mean, you should agree that it's fair for you to charge me $580,000 for your house. Again, that's what they're going to ask. Whether you agree to that or not, that's something that you and I can decide if and when the situation happens. And I can tell you, in all of the 8 years that I've been selling a house, I can't think of even 8 times when we ran into an appraisal problem. Again, if we do our work properly from the beginning and we set the right price, we avoid having appraisal issues later on. All right, so one possible outcome is that you would have to adjust your price, lower your price in order to then meet this appraised value. The second option is the buyer might say, after the seller has said no to lowering the price, the buyer might say, you know what, I absolutely love this house. I think this house is worth whatever it is worth, $600,000. I have extra money in my bank. I'm willing to put in another $20,000 cash from my pocket to buy this house. Because remember, the bank is not going to give a loan for $550 anymore. The house is worth $580. The buyer is supposed to be putting $50,000 down payment. So that means the bank is going to loan this person only $530. So now that's going to leave a difference of $20,000. And the buyer can put additional cash from their pocket to make up this appraisal gap. Or the buyer can lower their down payment. Instead of $50,000, the buyer might have to lower their down payment to $30,000 and use the remaining $20,000 for the appraisal difference, if the mortgage company will allow that and if the seller will allow this change. All right, so number one option that we can do is the seller can lower the price. Second option is the buyer can bring more money from their pocket to make up this appraisal difference. What is the third option? Both the buyer and the seller can meet in the middle. The seller can say, look, I'm not willing to lower my price by $20,000, but I'm willing to lower the price by $10,000, and you, the buyer, come with another $10,000 out of your pocket. And the buyer might say, great, I love your house. I think that's fair. I'm willing to bring $10,000 from my pocket. And thank you for lowering the price $10,000. Thank you for meeting me in the middle. So that's another option that is possible. The fourth option is the seller might say, no, my house is worth full $600,000. I don't care what the appraiser says. I'm not going to lower a single dollar of the price. And the buyer might say, well, I don't have any more money to bring from my home, and I can't lower the down payment either because my mortgage approval is very, very tight. So therefore, I guess we have no options but for the deal to die. So this transaction will then die and everybody goes their own way. The buyer will get their down payment. The contract will be canceled. The seller will be free to go back in the market. So you, the seller, will have to go back in the market, do more open houses, do more showings, and wait for the next offer. Keep in mind that when the next offer comes in, their appraiser will do an appraisal, and chances are they may also appraise the house at what the first appraiser appraised the house at too. So keep that in mind, that you risk the chance of running into the same problem later on. So it may be most beneficial for everyone to come to some agreement and move forward with the deal rather than go back to square one, because no one wins by going back to square one. If you go back to square one, you have to spend more time showing the house and hope that you get another offer, and you get a good offer, perhaps a better offer, maybe a worse offer, and that you hope that the same appraisal problem doesn't come up again. And of course, the buyer will have to go back looking for another house as well. So no one wins if the deal dies. So it is in everybody's best interest to perhaps try and make it work and come to some sort of an agreement. There is another option. We can challenge the appraisal results. We can go back to the appraiser and say, hey, appraiser, I think you got it wrong. Hey, here is a house that's sold in the market. Look at this house. It's sold for $600,000, and it's quite similar to our house in size, location, condition. And we notice in the report that you did not take a look at this house. You did not consider this house. It's not included in your report. For that reason, we want you to reconsider your report with this house included. And it might be more than one house. You might send them more than one property to take a look at. Say, hey, you missed this property, you missed this property, you missed this property. These properties should have been considered as part of your appraisal process. And there may have been a reason why this appraiser missed those properties. Perhaps there is a valid reason, perhaps there is no valid reason, and so forth. So there is a possibility to challenge an appraisal results. I'm not saying that the chances of winning that appeal are high, but we certainly have the option. And when we say we actually do not have that option. We, the sellers, do not have that option. It is the buyer who did the appraisal, and it is the buyer who has the right to challenge that appraisal, not the seller. Of course, the seller's agent can talk to the buyer's agent and say, hey, look, the appraiser missed this property and missed this property and missed this property, and therefore we think you should challenge this appraisal. So those are a few of the outcomes if the appraiser does not find the value of your house up to the value that you're selling it for, up to the purchase price or the sale price. The seller can lower his or her price and meet the lower price and sell the house. The buyer can decide to bring more money from their pocket and make up the appraisal difference. The buyer and seller can meet in the middle and close the gap and move forward. The fourth option is no one's willing to compromise, no one's willing to meet in the middle, and the deal dies. Everybody goes back to square one, looking for a house for the buyer, and the seller's looking for another buyer. And then lastly, we may also be able to challenge the appraisal results. So the buyer may be able to challenge the appraisal results. All right, so that's enough for today in terms of what happens with an appraisal. Ishmael Kolya, Ish your Realtor. I'm happy to speak to you about your particular property and what my team and I can do for you. Give me a call, 914-540-8849, 914-540-8849. Ish your Realtor, Ishmael Kolya, Associate Broker with eXp Realty and the team leader for the team of experts. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.